Hey everybody, this is Eric Worre and welcome to NetworkMarketingPro.com. I'm here with Matt Morris. How you doing, Matt?
Awesome.
And this guy is a passionate believer in personal development. He is a seven-figure-a-year earner in network marketing. He's a leader of a huge organization. How big is your group around the world now?
It's over 100,000 active now.
Over 100,000 active people, and that took how many years to build?
5 years.
In 5 years, over 100,000 active people, and it's a pretty good accomplishment, my friend.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell everybody just your story? Where'd you come? How did this happen? And how have you? What's your career path? What's happened?
Sure. Well, got into network marketing. I was in college, broke college student, working as a banquet waiter at the Hilton Hotel. And serving the tables and all this. Well, one of the other waitresses, who was kind of cute, she asked me, she was just talking to me, making conversation, and then she asked me if I ever thought about being in business for myself. And because I wanted to build rapport with her, I said, yeah, all the time, sure, absolutely. And she said, well, why don't you write your number down and we'll talk business sometime. And I was super anxious to talk business with her, so I gave her my number, and she called me a couple days later and said, hey, why don't you, I'm having a get together at the Hilton Hotel on Thursday night, why don't you come meet me and we'll talk business. And so I was like, all right, come meet Mary Beth at a hotel. Sounds good. And so anyway, I showed up, and it was a network marketing meeting. Everyone in suit and ties, and so saw the plan for the first time, and like a lot of people, I got super excited. I came home that night, and I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe no one else does this. I literally thought they were the only company in the world that had this network marketing concept. So I thought, now I'm going to get rich, and so quickly found out I was the last to know, and so went to the meetings, went to the trainings, got introduced to personal development, read Think and Grow Rich, and just thought, man, why is this content not, why aren't we taught any of this in school? Right. And so, after 2 years, I, ended up with, had sponsored actually 3 people, 2 of which I paid for to get in. One of which was my mother, and I never told her she was in. Right. And then the one guy that I did enroll was a friend of mine who was a waiter. He had been drinking before the presentation. He signed up, and then never saw him again. So 2 years later, I had one person in my group. It was me. So that was first 2 years in network marketing. But I really caught the dream. There was one of the guys who, making millions of dollars. He'd been in the company a long time, and he had just come home from Europe, and he talked about how he was world schooling his children, how teaching his kids history, not just in the history books, but in the places in the world where the history actually happened. And so that was kind of my why, that was my dream, and I just got excited about that, even though I was, at the time at that event, 18, 19 years old. I thought, that's what I want to be able to give to my children. And so I knew that network marketing was solid, and I thought, well, maybe I'm just, not in the right company. So I got involved in another company and worked really hard for 6 months, and, did everything you're not supposed to do, and had so much success. I moved into this really amazing place called the Honda Civic. So I was homeless, lived out of my little beat-up Honda Civic. I got a job selling above-ground swimming pools, and in southern Louisiana, and so anyway, didn't have enough money to eat. I got paid commissions once the pool got installed, which was 6 to 8 weeks out, and so I had nothing, enough money to eat and pay for gas. I couldn't afford motels or anything like that, so I slept out of my car. And if you've ever been homeless, you realize you develop a little bit of a bathing problem. So I would learn to bathe in gas station bathrooms. And everyone has this defining moment in their life that, kind of takes a different turn. And so my defining moment at the time was one night I pulled into a little town, and pouring down rain, and pull into a church parking lot. I'd always park in church parking lots because I felt like criminals would feel guilty carjacking me in a church. So I, park in there, and I'm laying there, and I'm, laying back, and rain's pouring down. Normally the rain helps me sleep, but that night I can't sleep. And so I'm thinking, man, if I go into my appointment tomorrow smelling like I do now, there's no way they're going to buy a pool. I hadn't taken a bath in a couple days, so I'm like, all right, well, it's raining outside, so took off my clothes, grabbed my bar of soap, and out in the middle of the church parking lot, and showered in the rain, and dried myself off. And I'm sitting there, and I kept a journal. I still have the journal today, actually, which is a fascinating, for me to go back and read it. But that night, I really got committed, and I said, I don't care what I have to do. I don't care how hard I have to work. I'm going to figure out how to be a success. I'm not going to be in this situation again, because what I had done previously is, I was doing network marketing, and I went to the trainings and I read some books, but I was never all in. I never really made that obsessive commitment that I've heard leaders talk about, and so that's what it took for me, was hitting rock bottom. And it was Tony Robbins. I listened to a Tony Robbins cassette, and he said he told his story of going from living in a 400 square foot bachelor apartment to a year later making over $1 million a year. And I said, okay, I want those kind of results. And so how did he do it? And that's what I'm looking for, is the how-tos. And he didn't give any how-tos, but he said there was two things. He said, you've got to practice modeling. Modeling, just if you want to have a lot of success, find someone who's had a lot of success, do what they did to have success, and you can have success yourself. And then the other thing he talked about was a huge commitment to personal development. He said he read over 700 books, and so that was super intimidating for me. I was the kid in high school who finished in the half of the class that made the top half possible.
Yes.
So
me too.
Yeah. So anyway, I started reading books. Even when I was homeless, I couldn't afford a lot of books. I'd go to the bookstore and I'd read books there, and the bookstore would close. I'd remember what page I was on. I'd come back the next day and finish the book. And so I started going through a new book every 2 days. I'm reading another book. When you're homeless, you got a lot of time on your hands. So that kind of started my reinvention process.
How old were you now?
I'm 21.
Okay.
21.
He's reinventing himself at 21. Most people are trying to find themselves at 21, but you're already reinventing. So you started early. That's fine.
I think I was, maybe inventing, not reinventing.
Isn't it funny? I got involved in the profession when I was 22, right? And you feel this huge sense of urgency, like you're getting old. You have to hurry.
Sure.
You know what I mean? If you don't make something happen quick, it's going to be over.
Yeah.
That this incredible scarcity, this fear that at least I had.
Yep, I had it big time.
Early on.
Yeah. And the fear kind of drove me. It was a fear of ever getting into that situation again. And it was the combination, and this is what I always train on, is success is really pretty simple. There's 3 factors. You got your financial vehicle. We've got the network marketing profession. Greatest profession in the world, greatest vehicle in the world. There's nothing that allows you to make the kind of money that we can make, have the kind of time freedom that we can have, and help the kind of people that we can. And then the only other 2 factors are your effort and your skill. And so I worked on the skill through reading the books and applying the knowledge, going to every seminar I could find, and which is why I'm such a big fan of what you do, because my philosophy, what made things work for me, was investing here.
Yep.
And I heard a quote that said, if you empty your wallet into your mind will fill up your wallet. And I can remember a time going to a Tony Robbins event. It was $10,000 for his Master University.
Yep.
I'm thinking, at the time I didn't have $10,000, but I thought, wow, if I don't come up with the $10,000, this is always going to be a problem for me.
Right.
So I had to source the $10,000, figure out how I could make it work, and it made all the difference in the world.
They think once they start making money, then you'll
go. Then you'll go. Yeah, sure.
But they don't realize.
Right.
You got to do it when you don't have it.
Exactly.
You got to buy the books when you don't have it. You got to listen to the programs when you don't have it. And at the beginning, I was like you. I mean, I was bootlegged copies of cassette tapes, listening to over and over and over. Anything I could do to try and find my way into a room where I could learn.
Yeah.
It's so important to understand investing first, return comes second.
Right.
But it's hard when you're struggling.
Yeah.
You should give a person a chance to get out of that. Well, part of that is the struggle.
Sure. Yeah. If you'll pay my way in.
Yeah. If you didn't have the struggle, it's like they say with the butterfly. If you go in there struggling, you take a little razor blade to help them out.
Yeah. Sure.
Then they're going to fall out and die. They need the struggle. And I think that's true. It's true for me.
Yeah, and I had to learn to be grateful for the struggle. And it was really hard at the time. In fact, I don't remember having a lot of gratitude at the time when I was living out in my car. But now looking back, thank God have that happen because I wouldn't be who I am or where I am if that had not happened.
The adventure years.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, when it's all a big adventure. I mean, I've driven to places to learn from a mentor, slept in my car, done all that stuff too. I remember those defining moments. Isn't it interesting that moment when you were showering, you could either let that break you, standing out in the church parking lot, or you could let it push you. Yeah, I think we all deal with that, and I think you know, there's a lot of viewers that are either breaking or being pushed. You know what I mean? And I hope that you don't break. Right?
That's it.
So talk to me about, you've got this group of over 100,000 active people. You've built, you know, this incredible growth over the last 5 years. You now have a residual income, walkaway income of over $1 million a year in commissions, which is awesome and exciting. And the cool thing is it's becoming more and more common in our profession. It used to be 10,000 a month was the holy grail. And now it's, you know, that's everywhere.
You need to be at 100,000.
That's everywhere. 100,000 a month is becoming much more common. What would you attribute your, there's 2 or 3 things that you could point to that those things really made a difference in your success? What would those be?
Sure. Well, within, you know, I mean, it goes back to what I said earlier, the effort and the skill. And, you know, for me, it was putting in enough effort fast enough. I always talk about the law of compressed activity that says the effort that you put in a compressed amount of time is going to pay you way more money than the same amount of effort put in over an extended period of time. And so any success I've ever had in network marketing with the company I'm with now, with my last company, and you know, the company before that, every major success I've had in network marketing has come from a massive amount of compressed activity.
How long? How long was that compressed?
About a 90-day time frame.
Isn't that funny? You know? We talk about the 90-day game plan all the time.
Sure.
Massive energy in 90 days. I learned that, gosh, it's back to 1992 when I learned it. 5 years into my network marketing career. I did my first one. And it created massive income. And then I started paying attention to the other big earners, and I realized that all of them.
Right, it all
and about how many did you recruit over the course of those 90 days personally?
The first success I had in network marketing, my first month, I enrolled 30 people. 30 people in 1 month, and I was so busy from those 30, I didn't enroll anyone else for several months after that. I mean, I was just busy, you know, taprooting and driving momentum. But, you know, at 90 days all out, I carried that one till about 6 months, and went from, at the time, was living at home with my mom, working as a waiter at a Saltgrass Steakhouse, you know, $30,000 in debt. Within 90 days, got to $2,000 a week. Within 6 months, got to $10,000 a week. And I had never done a blitz before. I had never put in 30 people in 30 days. And, you know, I finally just decided I'm going to stop trying to decide who's going to join and who's not going to join, because I would only, I mean, this was my whole, you know, procedure was this: I'll show them if I think they'll join. If I think they'll join, and I'm pretty sure they'll join, then I'll show them. And I finally said, you know, I'm just going to make a list of 300 people,
show them all.
and I'm just going to show everyone. I don't care what they say, no emotional attachment. I'm just going to run hard with enthusiasm and excitement. And it just worked.
We talked this year about how to recruit 20 people in 30 days.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And it's the same thing, right? All it is numbers. If you'll do the numbers, if you'll face your fear and go through the motions, if you'll just set the appointments and just tell the story, you don't even need to be that good. If you tell it in a compressed period of time, you'll get pretty good within about 72 hours in telling the story, and you're going to get results. Now, some of his story, just for everybody watching, you're like, well, you got involved there, you got involved here. This last 5 years has been this big thing. You had a company, your own situation blow up. Right?
Yeah, I own my own network marketing company. And
so I just want you to kind of get some context. You know, he had some success in the past. He had some failures in the past. He had some success in the past. And then he started his own company. And
well, and it was a roller coaster. So the first success, and then unfortunately it was a startup company, went out of business. I did the same thing again, another 90-day blitz, enrolled about 30 people within, you know, maybe 60 days or so, and, you know, had success, unfortunately, you know, and that's when I decided to start my own company. And Ended up getting hit with about $500,000 worth of fraud in about 1 month, and 6 months later, $750,000 in debt.
Wow.
60 days away from bankruptcy. My wife had just given birth to our first little girl.
Wow.
And
this is 6 years ago.
this was, it was September, October of 2008 was when the fraud happened. 6 months later, and then it was June of 2009 when I got involved in my current opportunity.
And you just decided to put the work clothes back on.
Did the same thing.
Your back's up against the wall. You got to make something happen.
I had done the 90-day blitz, 3 times, and it worked all 3 times. Huge success, more success. Every time I'd done it, it had more success than the time before. And so I just had it in my mind where, every time I've gone down, every time I've hit bottom, I've always rebounded higher than I ever was before. Yeah. Always rebounded higher. But all right, I got to do it again. Now, I will tell you this, going from being an owner of a network marketing company to now I'm a rep in the field was humbling. Greatest thing that ever happened to me.
Smartest decision ever.
Yeah, I spent 6 months in a funk. I was going out and doing meetings, and I'd go home and cry.
But you're doing it anyway.
This happened? Right. But I went through the motions, and even though I, mentally, I'm, having all these challenges dealing with, it was my company, and it was my, I'm the reason why, everything happened, and. I had to get through that. It took me about 6 months. I got clear, and luckily
Can I mention something?
Sure.
This is fun because we have similar situations. In network marketing, I think there's a mental ladder, right? You get in, and then you make money. You go up a rung.
Sure.
And then once you make money, you go to a medium-sized rep, and you make a living.
Yeah.
And then you make good money, a lot of money. That's the next level. And then everybody has this idea, I should be an owner.
Sure.
Because that's the next thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be an owner. So you reach for that ring, and now you're an owner. And you go, oh, wow. Is this what I wanted?
Yeah.
And for me, I started a personal development company that was not a network marketing company. We were trying to put a personal development on cable television.
I remember.
And that was the next big rung, and we raised $10 million, and that was like, oh, we're going, to the big time, and, big, chunk of it mine, and we lost it all. Yeah. And then I was the same thing, so I kind of was humbled. But the interesting thing is, I think the best space, if you take all the different places, owner, work for a company, distributor, the best thing ever is a top distributor in a good company.
Making $1 million a year, whether you get out of bed or not.
Yes, and enjoy, and the community, and the friendship, and the freedom, and the lifestyle. That's where it's at. I promise you. You talk to, off the record with a couple hundred company owners, and they will tell you the top reps have it better than they do. They just do. So anyway, sometimes the ladder that you think in your mind is not really the ladder.
Up against the wrong wall.
Yeah. So anyway, it's interesting to see that you kind of went through that emotional, like, oh man, I've gone down a rung, but it wasn't.
No, it was the best thing that ever happened. Because when I owned the company, my wife would send me, messages and videos of my daughter and messages, and I'm in the office. I'm like, I want to be home with her. And so the last 5 years, being able to be a stay-at-home dad and her a stay-at-home mom, the lifestyle is just, there's nothing in the world that beats, being a top leader in network marketing.
Yeah. All right, so I got to slide back to our your keys for success. One is compressed energy.
Yeah, compressed activity.
Compressed activity in a short period, as short a period of time as possible, as long as you can hold it. 90 days is what I think that you can really hold for a real run.
Right.
And some people get intimidated by how hard you have to work in those 90 days to get to the million.
Sure.
But you can do a mini burst and get to 100,000.
Yep. What makes you strong too? You do that much effort that fast, you get really good.
Yeah.
What happened to me? Yeah. I my skill set. I was in network marketing for 5-6 years. Never got to a full-time income. I finally did blitz, and I did more work in that 90 days than I'd probably done in the 5 years before. But my skill set, what I had learned in 5 years after 90 days of doing the blitz, my skill was so much greater after those 90 days because I was getting the reps in.
Yeah.
the practice.
What else has been a defining thing
So,
for you?
the other thing was just the commitment to personal development. I had a lot of growing to do as a person. You know, not going through my story growing up, but there was a lot of drama and, you know, stuff like that. We'll save that for another show. But I had a lot of growing that I needed to do, a lot of belief building that I had to work on myself. And so I had to grow myself from the inside. And my philosophy has always been that if you build people here, they'll build the business. But if you don't build them here, they won't build the business.
I agree.
Because there is a learning curve. You can't have it be just about the money. Most people, it's going to take a while before they develop themselves to where they can make the money. And so if it's all about the money and they don't make any money, then they leave. And so, you know, we always say we're a personal development company disguised as a network marketing company, you know, and so that has been mine, is a huge commitment to personal development throughout the team.
Books, tapes, events.
Tapes, events.
How would you how would you rank them personally?
Events are, you need it all, but there's nothing replaces the power of events. I mean, we're doing an event here this weekend with a bunch of people, and you know, if you want to get someone to the point where they're ready to run through a brick wall to build a business, that it doesn't usually happen from an audio, it doesn't usually happen from a book, it happens at an event. And so it's the combination of the knowledge at the event, hearing all the stories, the motivation, the emotion, all of that building up where they come out and now they're ready to go. And so I've just done as good of a job as I can at promoting events. Get people to build to the events and then they'll build the business.
So you talked about, well, how did you phrase it? Condensed.
The law of compressed activity.
Compressed activity, number one. Number two, radical focus on personal development within the team. For me, I'll tell you, my journey was inside of network marketing. I was taught at the very beginning, don't miss a company event, and I never did. And you watch what happens to people who miss one. It's a devastating thing to see. But so I never missed, and you know, way back then it was 3 a year, 4 a year, plus your local stuff. But for skills, so defining moments, all my breakthroughs happen at events. Every life change happened at an event. But for skills, for me, was audio. Audio, because it was repetitive over and over and over and over. I'd just put it in my car and listen. And also just the personal development mindset. You know, listening to Jim Rohn 100 times. You know, listening to whatever. And then I became a reader. Because I wasn't much of a reader. I'd read 10 pages to fall asleep of anything. But I've become a very aggressive reader later in life. You know, really starting in my 20s. Later in life. So, you know, tell me just quickly, how do you bake personal development into your team?
So, I mean, number one is just within the events, but then, you know, doing things like a book of the month. In fact, right before I came to this event, I've been getting text messages from a bunch of people. I mailed out a bunch of books to a bunch of different people on my team. You know, and some of the people who are brand new, I'm sending them your book, actually. In fact, I'll show you the text when we're done here.
Very nice.
But I sent your book and one other to about 8 or 10 people that I've just recently personally sponsored in the business, and so, you know, I made their night. They got your book, and then with some of my other more, you know, seasoned leaders, I'm sending them copies of other books that are, you know, more advanced or more personal development type stuff. So one way is just, you know, through giving books out, you know, having them buy them when they get started. So day one, when I started working with my mentor, he immediately gave me a book list. He said, I want you to go, you know, read James Allen, As a Man Thinketh. It was when I was 24. And so the first success I had in network marketing, started working with him.
So you got a book list.
Got a book list.
As a Man Thinketh, James Allen, great book to get. What else?
And Big Al Tells All. My Big Al.
Great.
And then Rich Dad Poor Dad and 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. That was actually, I think, the 5th book in there. It was like get the skills and then the leadership. And then the other was Rich Dad Poor Dad and Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich.
So Think and Grow Rich.
First few books. He's like, okay, read this.
So
and it just makes a huge difference.
so you just
So
continue to
indoctrinating
promote.
brand new people when they get in, letting them know immediately this is
important.
this is part of our culture.
Yeah,
is
it's what we do here.
read this.
So how about Greatest Salesman in the World?
Great book. Yeah.
Illusions, Richard Bach, you read that?
Yeah.
Or Jonathan Livingston Seagull, or
There's so
my list
there's
is
just so
long.
many.
It's so
there's
awesome.
many. And it's like not overwhelming the new person with all these books. But go out and
Just
read.
start with something.
You say,
Pick one.
read this, and then let's talk about it. Read this, and then let's talk about
Yeah.
it. One of my favorites that I've had people read so many times over the years is What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Helmstetter.
Awesome.
And that's the basis of a lot of my training in network marketing. And is people. We're really coaches. People come to us for so many different issues, and I take that book and I can, I've read that thing several times. I read it like a textbook.
Yep.
I write notes on it and everything, and so just gives us a format for taking people from where they are to where they want to be. But you've got to go through the material and commit it here.
Yeah.
And then I've also had so many people that have said, "Oh my gosh, you've changed my life in such an amazing way," and I never even told them anything other than, "You got to read this book. Go read this book."
Yeah.
They read the book, and then I get the credit. It's great.
I think personal development comes from the environment we create at events, the books that we read, the audio programs we listen to, the videos that we watch, and the relationships that we build.
Sure.
If we surround ourselves with good people,
Yeah.
we're going to get better.
That's it.
It's just, they're going to lift you up. And in network marketing, it's such an unfair advantage to everything else out there, because in the rest of the world, outside of network marketing, nobody else really cares. And the people who are in your same business are kind of competing with you. So they're not looking to help.
Your boss
they're
doesn't
not
want to
looking
get you up to
encourage.
his level. Sure.
They just want you to just do your job and don't get in their way in their career path.
Sure.
But here, we're reaching up, we're reaching down and lifting people up, and we're pushing people up, and we're doing. It's one of the great things, the relationships.
Yeah.
People just don't leave because they build great relationships, and then they find themselves in the journey.
Yeah.
Something clicks, and the light goes on.
Yeah.
Their eyes light up, and you go, okay, they got it. They got it. Now they're on their path. They're ready to go.
Yeah.
Well, we could talk for a long time, and we're connected at the heart, me and this guy. But you're going to be one of the speakers at GoPro Recruiting Mastery, November 20th through the 23rd.
Yes.
In Las Vegas at the Mirage Hotel. We're going to have 8,000 people there. The who's who of the world is going to be there. Tell people just what you're looking forward to with that event, and why they should, if they haven't registered yet, why they should consider doing that.
Well, I'm excited to be a speaker at the event, but I'm probably more excited to learn, because in going to the last event that I went to with you, getting to hear from, number one, you, and all, the content that you deliver is so irrefutable. It is just the cornerstone of network marketing. It's what everyone, it's what we're all teaching, is a lot, the stuff that you're teaching. And so, learning all years, but then all of the other speakers, and I ended up getting the CD set of, the last event. And there's so many golden nuggets that I've gotten from that, and being there to network with all of the different leaders, and you're seeing in the room, and I don't know that there's another place, I don't think there's anywhere else in the world where you can be in one room with so many $1 million a year earners. You're in there with dozens.
Oh no, last year there was 100. This year there'll be at least 200.
Yeah.
At least.
So the networking, just getting to, meet all these other people. And for me, sometimes it's, meeting someone and I know they're making, $200,000 a month, and I hang out with them for a little bit and I say, they're just a regular guy like me. Right. One of the things I had to get over was the guys making $1 million a year, they're not really that different.
Right.
So, that, but then just the knowledge. I took pages and pages and pages of notes just from the last event. So I'm excited about learning from all the other speakers, and it's another thing that I'm always in student mode, always in learning mode. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about delivering what we're going to deliver. It's going to be fun, and get a lot of great content, of course. And I've got to, you tell me what you want me to train on.
No, it's we haven't talked about what he's going to train on yet, but I will tell you, this guy is a master trainer because he's a great student, and not only a good student, but a leader, you know, because he turns around and takes that information that he's learned and passes it on.
Put it in
really well.
Yeah, and there's been some messages that I've gotten from your events that I've been able to take and then train my team on, and I've made a good amount of money from taking that information and saying, hey guys, start using this, and it works. So, you know.
Well, I'm excited to have you, and it's going to be amazing. We're going to be maxed out. We don't have very many tickets left. We're going to be maxed out quickly, and you know, we'll have to deal with that issue. Your event here this weekend maxed out. You ended up switching to another venue. I don't have that capability of doing that. So once we're sold out, we're really going to be sold out. But if you find a way to get into that room, you're going to be glad that you did. It's going to be an amazing celebration of our profession and a learning experience and a gathering of the most powerful people on earth when it comes to the network marketing profession. So, well, thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it very much.
Absolutely.
Yes. And from both of us to you, our wish for you is that you decide to become a network marketing professional. You decide to go pro, because it is a stone cold fact that we have a better way. Now let's go tell the world. Everybody have a great day. Get yourself to Go Pro Recruiting Mastery, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.